Joining us now is Joan Gaffney, and we're going to be talking about shifting and a whole lot more. She is with Shift Nova. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, Donna. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing well.
That's a very engaging brand, Shift Nova.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yes, it's all about how we look at things and looking at it through many different lenses.
You know a lot about marketing because you had 25 plus years as the global, I want to say ambassador because I love that word, but you were really in charge of that, a technology company where you were in charge of the person and the branding and everything that goes along with that. Tell us a little bit about that career because then I want to move it into what you're doing now.
Yes. So my primary focus was on strategy and positioning and how we bring different products to market. I had the privilege of working for some really revolutionary companies in technology products and really focused on engagement, strategy, positioning, engagement, how we connect internally and externally and create an experience.
But now you have Shift Nova.
Yes.
It's your own thing. It's like
My
you
own thing.
put out a shingle with your, it's like Joan Gaffney's thing. And you've also been still working with a global community. You still work with people from all over the world, but now you're specifically helping them with their personal branding?
Well, it's a little bit different than personal branding.
Okay.
It's about creating an awareness and making an intentional decision about how we want to show up and
Okay.
recognizing our own value. Because in interactions that we create and evoke emotions with whomever we're connecting with. And a lot of times in business, we'll lean to words like high quality and expertise. Those don't always do justice to how we do that and how people perceive us. So with coaching, it's an opportunity to collaborate with somebody and help them to understand how they're showing up, what they're doing that actually creates value for themselves and for the people that they're engaging with.
It's interesting. Have you ever ran across like accountants or whatever, and there's like certain stereotypes, like CPAs, like, you know, like, oh, with the pocket protectors and things like that, right? So somebody could just have like this broad brush of just assuming that everybody in a certain category of business is exactly the same, but you don't see people that way.
Yes, and Donna, you so hit the nail on the head right there. We see that a lot in networking. You walk into the room and there's 25 different financial advisors. What I look for then is to understand, how is it that you're running your business? Because you're doing something that's special, that's different, that's uniquely you. Let's discover what that is.
What do you articulate around in terms of shifting? What does that term mean to you?
So shifting, it's interesting because a lot of people associate coaching with a complete transformative change.
Right,
Which
something's
it can
wrong, right?
Yes.
I'm doing everything wrong. I got to change everything. Right.
Yes, and when things start shifting, you start to notice what else is possible. And all of a sudden, all of these new possibilities open up to you. You know, what I brought with me in my past life was really focusing on client-centric thinking. How do we move to the perspective for the client to understand what they're experiencing? And I noticed that when you look through the client lens, you saw things very differently. And so that's something I can apply with my business clients, but also with executive clients, it can be just more about understanding if you have to think differently, if you can't go down the path that you've consistently gone down before, you actually have to move a little bit. It doesn't mean that you have to do a complete 180, but if you just move a little bit, you'll start to see things a little bit differently.
That makes a lot of sense. One of the things I find joyful about you whenever we get a chance to speak is that you are so engaged about the people that you work with. Now, do you specialize in individuals or businesses or teams? Like how does this growth happen for you?
It's interesting. It's actually quite the spectrum.
Okay.
So it goes from individuals. I work with some very high-performing, high-achieving, successful professionals where what's worked for them in the past isn't working anymore. So kind of like a tire that's spinning in the mud, I add in a little bit of grit, a little bit of challenge to help them move forward. And then I will work and collaborate with business leaders on working on their business. And to that point about moving to a client-centric lens, I do also offer specialized workshops to work with teams on helping to adopt client-centric thinking. So it's really quite a range of options that I offer to clients.
Now, who do you find was one of the mentors that worked with you, Joan, that saw something great in you and said, you know what, this is your path. This is where we think you might be able to grow?
Yes, I have been fortunate to have several key mentors in my life. Certainly, one of them by far was a former CEO of mine who herself was an innovator and an innovator in the digital healthcare space. And so I'm very privileged to have worked with her, and she saw what was possible for me. And then, of course, my business coach is Mimi Bishop, and
Okay.
she is. Her and her partner are chairing the Reimagine conference this year, and she has been instrumental because even for a coach, having that person who can see what's happening and reflect that back to you is so important, because innovation requires that spark that only can happen when people collaborate.
What results have you seen in some of your clients where they've been able to, maybe when they were dull, but they shifted something and then you were able to help them get a spark?
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing when I see that change happen in clients. And it's been a range from helping them to see how what they're saying about the way that they want their business to run or operate. And I reflect back to them, well, this is what's actually what you're telling me is happening. Again, it's not me telling them what to do. It's just simply helping them to see what's happening. Or on the individual clients, when I ask them this very simple question of, how does that align with your values? Yeah.
Yeah, Jackie and Mimi are actually going to be guests. And the conference you're talking about is June 11th.
Yes.
So people are flying in from all over the country.
Yes.
So, and if they go, they'll get to see both of us too. So that'll be
Yes.
fun.
It'll be fun.
Joan, thank you so much.
Thank
Shift
you.
Nova.
Yes.
Stay tuned for more. We've been living it up with Joan Gaffney, Shift Nova. Definitely give her a call.